and welcome back to Azure Terraformer. This is another follow-up video on how to do nested for expressions. I got some really great feedback from the audience on this one. I got a comment from Kudos Kanava 9096 who says, good stuff, but I think better output data model would be a map where the display names would be keys and values, would be a set of IP ranges. And I couldn't agree more. I think this is great feedback. Why? Namely, because when you output an array or a list and you want to iterate across that collection, your options are limited to count. And as we know, count can create churn because order matters. However, if as we do like Kudos Kanava says and output a map, then order doesn't matter. And if we parse this JSON file again and the values are not in the same order, then we're not going to go reconstructing our rules. There won't be any drop creates involved at all. So this creates a lot less churn as small changes happen within the collection that we're iterating across. And I thought that's great feedback. Another comment that I thought was really good that I haven't really touched on my channel because I haven't really done a lot of the heavy gymnastics with HCL until just this last episode where we did a bunch of nested for expressions. But the use of intermediate local values as a way to kind of help you interrogate the data as you're building it, to analyze and make sure what's in that object is what you expect to be there, is an excellent practice to follow. And friendly internet stranger Teddy VM from Reddit says, my advice is if you're nesting for statements, is to break them up into multiple local variables instead. It makes things far, far more readable when you come back to it later. And I couldn't agree more. And when you have the opportunity to do that, I think it's good advice. Ned Valavence also added this comment, which I think is really valuable to note as well. Terraform console is your friend. And having these intermediate local values also get stored in state, which means you can interrogate them using the Terraform console command as well. So very useful feedback, very useful comments. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for engaging with me on this topic. So today I was going to take the advice of Kudos Kanava and convert my little list into a map. And in order to do that, I really don't have to do a lot of work. I'm also going to use a local intermediate value, like Teddy VM mentioned, to store the list, but then another local value to store the map. And I'm going to use a very simple for expression to convert my list that I outputted with my 3 nested for expressions to convert it into a map. As a reminder, if you're enjoying this content, please remember to smash that like button and consider subscribing. Also consider joining the channel as an official Azure Terraformer. It really helps out a lot. Without further ado, let's drop into code and make this work. So as you can see here, this is my expected output local variable where I am iterating across 3 for expressions. Each of these for expressions are using the square brackets to output lists. And I use the flatten function to collapse my list of lists into a single list. Now, with that single list, I can easily convert that into a map with just another little for expression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a new for expression, and I'm going to say I guess we'll just say item in this collection, for item in local.expectedOutput. Now, what do I want? All I want is the item.displayName, and then the value that I want to associate with that key is going to be the item.addressSpace, which we know is a collection. That's it. That's all, folks. I have just taken my pretty crazy nested for expression that outputs a list of key value pairs and converted it into a map that I can then use to forEach across a block of resources. Just to show this to you, let me convert my expected output from instead of the expected output list to my expected output map, and let's run Terraform apply and see what happens. And you can see right off the bat, instead of what we had before, which was a list of distinct objects with a display name attribute, which had the continent and city concatenated there, and an address space attribute with this array. Now we have the continent and name as the key and the address space list as the value within that map. So this object right here, the expected output map, I can now use to iterate using a forEach meta argument across a resource block. That's it. It's that simple. So again, thank you for the comments. Really appreciate it. It's great to have that support from the community, watching my back, keeping me honest, and improving the solution together. So thank you so much, Kodas Kanava, Teddy VM, and Ned. Really appreciate the great feedback there. Anyways, it was a bit of a quick hit today. That's it for me. This is the Azure Terraformer signing off.